there was a question over whether there had been, earlier in the day, a meeting between Prince William and the princesses, Beatrice and Eugenie, saying, you guys have got to get your dad to move out of Royal Lodge. Otherwise, we will start re-examining the state of your own titles. I.e., they are at the moment allowed to be princesses, but there was a bit of pressure, we understand, being put on the princesses to say, this is going to happen. And obviously, you can see why Andrew, as a father, would want to kind of keep his daughters happy and keep their titles in place, come what may.
Emily Maitlis is back in the royal headlines, and this time it's Prince William feeling the heat. The journalist who dismantled Prince Andrew's public image in that unforgettable 2019 interview has reignited royal controversy, claiming that William personally confronted Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. According to Maitlis, the Prince of Wales warned his cousins that their royal titles could be re-examined unless they persuaded their father, Prince Andrew, to finally vacate Royal Lodge, the Windsor mansion that's been at the centre of growing public anger. But what makes this story even more compelling is not just what was said, but what happened next. On the Newsagents podcast, Maitlis described what she called a tense exchange between the cousins, one that seems to have exposed deep cracks within the royal family. She linked the moment to renewed scrutiny over Prince Andrew's Epstein ties and the uncomfortable truth that he continues to enjoy privileges while dodging accountability. Journalists, Maitlis said, were even tipped off to expect an update at Royal Lodge last Thursday. Helicopters were spotted overhead. Camera crews arrived. Something big was clearly planned. But then everything was suddenly called off. According to Maitlis, the king himself had been due to appear that day, reportedly to read the Riot Act to his brother, essentially delivering an ultimatum. But palace aides grew nervous, fearing the optics of such a moment might spiral out of control. So they cancelled it. And right after that came the denials. Kensington Palace was quick to issue a statement calling the story factually inaccurate, stressing that the Prince of Wales has no power to remove royal titles. That denial was swiftly echoed by Marie Claire, People magazine, and Hola, all running the same line, almost word for word. But here's where things get interesting. Whenever the palace rushes to explain, you know a story has hit too close to home. Because just days before this denial, reports were already circulating that William was indeed exploring ways to strip or reclassify titles. So, which is it? Was it all fiction, or did someone at Kensington Palace panic when the plan leaked? For Beatrice and Eugenie, the situation couldn't be more personal. Their father's disgrace continues to overshadow their public image, despite their best efforts to live quietly and positively. At the same time, their titles bind them to an institution built on hierarchy, power and control. Removing or even threatening to re-examine those titles would send a devastating message not only to them, but to every royal still tethered to the monarchy's pecking order. People magazine clarified that such an act would actually require an Act of Parliament, not a simple royal decree. But history reminds us the monarchy doesn't always need the law to punish. Sometimes all it takes is reputation warfare. Royal insiders told the Daily Beast's Royalist by journalist Tom Sykes that palace aides had been preparing to announce Andrew's move from Royal Lodge before the event was cancelled. His sources confirmed that the choreography got too big, a polite way of saying it was turning into a PR nightmare. Let's remember, Royal Lodge isn't just any property. Andrew secured a 75-year lease in 2003 for just $1 million. That's 90 acres of prime Windsor land, complete with cottages and a police post, essentially a royal compound subsidised by taxpayers. MPs have called the arrangement offensive to common sense, and even the new Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has called for proper accountability over Crown estate assets. Now, insiders are suggesting that William's influence was clearly visible in these attempts to move Andrew out. But the ultimate power still lies with King Charles. And that's where the complication deepens, because Charles reportedly made a vow to the late Queen that he would look after his brother, no matter the scandal. So, while the King might wish to appear decisive, he's trapped by old promises. And Andrew, shielded yet again, remains in his grace and favour mansion as if nothing ever happened. But what Emily Maitlis has done here is expose the symbolic heart of the matter. This story isn't just about property or titles, it's about power. The palace's frantic denial reveals more than any confirmation ever could. If there was truly no meeting, no confrontation, no pressure, then why brief the press so aggressively? Why scramble so fast to silence a journalist who has already proven she can hold a royal to account? Because the truth is, Emily Maitlis is not an amateur chasing headlines. She's the same woman who dismantled Prince Andrew's defence line by line during that infamous BBC interview, the "I don't sweat" debacle that defined his downfall. She has no incentive to fabricate. If anything, she has every reason to protect her professional integrity. That's why her account carries weight. Because for a journalist like Maitlis to risk her reputation on a story like this, she must believe her sources are credible and her facts solid. Meanwhile, let's not forget William's own record when it comes to transparency. In Spare, Prince Harry accused his brother of signing a joint statement in Harry's name without his consent. He also described years of palace briefings designed to protect William's image at Meghan and Harry's expense. So when Kensington Palace insists that this time they're telling the truth, people aren't buying it. Public trust in the royal narrative has eroded, and fast. Public sentiment is quietly shifting. Online polls, comment sections, and even mainstream commentary reveal that people are siding with Emily Maitlis, not with the monarchy. Because, at its core, this scandal touches on something deeper than just who lives where. It's about how power is maintained through silence, fear, and manipulation. And when the walls of secrecy start to crack, the palace scrambles to patch them with denials. Hola! Magazine put it best. Andrew's situation is complicated, but his daughters have been dragged into the fallout regardless. They're paying the social and reputational price for a father who refuses to let go of privilege and an institution terrified of public backlash. The tragedy here isn't just Andrew's defiance, it's the generational ripple effect. Two young women, once seen as the modern, relatable face of royalty, are now pawns in a decades-old game of loyalty and leverage. And that's exactly what Emily Maitlis has illuminated. A system where titles are not birthrights, they're bargaining chips, where even the heirs to privilege live under constant threat of having it taken away, not by law, but by family politics. It's control disguised as tradition. And for all the palace's efforts to dismiss the story, their response says it all. They're not confident, they're rattled. Because if William really had nothing to do with the meeting, and if no such warning was issued, why was every palace PR department working overtime to insist otherwise? Why were multiple outlets briefed simultaneously, each using nearly identical language? That's not the behaviour of an institution confident in its truth. That's the behaviour of one trying desperately to contain a leak. It's worth remembering that Emily Maitlis isn't a royalist or a Republican, she's a journalist. Her only loyalty is to accuracy. And in the current climate, where royal reputation management has become an industry of its own, her voice feels like one of the few unfiltered ones left. So here we are, another chapter in the long saga of royal image versus royal reality. Prince Andrew remains ensconced in Royal Lodge. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, caught between love for their father and loyalty to the crown, now face renewed scrutiny. And Prince William, whether or not he issued the warning, finds himself painted as the enforcer, a future king who rules not by compassion, but by quiet coercion. Meanwhile, Emily Maitlis stands firm, calm, professional, and unbothered by palace panic. And perhaps that's what truly unsettles them. Because every time the royal machine tries to bury a story, it ends up confirming exactly what it wanted to deny. At the end of the day, this isn't just about one journalist or one family feud. It's about accountability, power, and truth. Three things the British monarchy has struggled to balance for generations. Emily Maitlis didn't need to make anything up. She just needed to tell us what those inside the palace hoped we'd never hear. And now, thanks to her, we all have.